Hi, you guys. Hey, you guys. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy tax season. Okay, we are in tax season. And so today on Tax Talk with Gwen, we're going to talk about at what age do you stop claiming your dependent? And the reason why we're having this topic is because every tax season, I see a lot of taxpayers miss out on money because they don't know the rules or the laws in reference to when they're supposed to stop claiming their dependents. So let's talk about it. Now, if your dependent is 18 and younger, they live with you, you provide, their support, they don't provide over 50% of their own support, then they are your dependent. Now, it'd be a lot of mix up because, oh, yeah, they have to live with you over 6 months out the year. Let me make sure I say that because I might say live with you and they might be splitting time between somewhere. But they have to live with you over 6 months out the year. So let me say this. A lot of people think when their kids start to work, meaning at 16, some at 15, 17, and 18, that you can no longer claim them. You can. You can, and I see a lot of people not doing that. I don't understand it, but I guess because people don't know the actual rules. And so it doesn't matter that your dependent has a job, as long as the dependent is not providing over 50% of their own support, which is paying rent, utilities, food, and their own insurance. They can pay their own car note, but and the insurance is medical insurance. They can pay their car insurance, but they just cannot pay over 50% of their own support of living. So the other question that comes up is, well, they're working. Do I put that on my taxes? And the answer is no. Your dependent files their own tax return, but you have to be careful when they're filing it. Okay, that's why you need to really go to tax professionals. But when they're filing their tax return, you have to check a box that says that they can be claimed by someone else. Now, if you don't check that box, what ends up happening is you cannot electronically file them because they've already been filed. So, yes, if your dependent is 18 and younger and they're not providing over 50% of their own support, and they live with you over 6 months out the year, they are your dependent. Okay, you need to be claiming them. When they turn 18, they get grown. They think they can file their own taxes, and you let them and you don't file them. Stop doing that. They can file their own taxes still, and you can file them as well. So make sure that you are getting your coins. Make sure you're getting your coins. Then you have the dependents that are between the ages of 19 and 23. And that's the age that a lot of people miss out on a lot of money because your kids are considered grown in most cases because, they say they're grown over 18. And they might go to college and be a full-time student. If they go to college and they are a full-time student, it doesn't matter if they go off to college or not. If they go off, they in college and they are a full-time student, 19 to 23, and they are not, okay, and they are not providing over 50% of their own support, which includes paying rent, utilities, foods, and health insurance. Now, paying for a dorm and staying somewhere while they're off at school is not the same thing. Okay? If their permanent address is your address, because that means they're temporarily absent, then you are supposed to claim them on your taxes. And honestly, it's not an income limit when you talk about that age group. Because a lot of people ask, like, okay, I have a 19-year-old, 21-year-old, and they are making 20 some thousand. Hey, Tiffany, they're making some 20 some thousand a year. Can I claim them? It's not about how much income they make when they're between the ages of 19 and 23 if they're a full-time student. What matters is what is they doing with the income they make. Because if the income they're making is not contributing to over 50% of their own support, then they are still your dependent. And I know they want to be grown and file their own taxes, but they're still your dependent. And I guess a good thing that you need to know in reference to that as well is just like the 18 and younger, if they do work, they can still file their own taxes. They just need to make sure that they check a box to say that someone else can claim them. Now, the only problem when they start making over 20 some thousand and they might not be providing over 50% of their own support is that in a lot of cases they are not paying the right federal withholdings on their income, and a lot of them end up owing. So you have to like look at all the variables for real, but honestly they are your dependent. Now, if you have a totally permanently disabled child and they can't do for themselves, they don't have an age limit, you can continue to claim them. The only difference is that they cannot make income over 5,200. Okay, they can't have income over 5,200. But in most cases, they're permanently totally disabled. They're not working anyway, so you can continue to claim them. Now, when it comes to having a dependent who's an adult, right, like your parents, your grandparents, or whoever, then it is income limits involved. And also, if you have dependents that are ages 19 to 23 and they're not full-time students. If they're not full-time students, or if they're older than 23, then they have to make under $5,200 to be able to claim them on your taxes. And you have to know that depending on what their ages are, determines what type of credits or deductions that you will get for them. And so again, that's why it's important that a lot of times y'all come and use a tax pro, because what I have seen with people who do taxes on their own, it be all kinds of wrong stuff on their taxes in some instances because they don't know the rules. A lot of people just think if you got dependents or if somebody live with you, you can just claim them. Every credit, every deduction has rules and guidelines to them. And when it comes to these tax credits, they have age limits to certain things. So you as a taxpayer need to know what the age limits are, and you need to know what the credits are that can benefit you. So just to recap, if you have dependents 18 and younger, they're not providing over 50% of their own support. They live with you over 6 months out the year. It's other things. Of course, you know they're your kids. They have to be in relationship to you, with you, have some type of a certain type of relationship to you. Then you can claim them on your taxes. Ages 19 to 23, they have to be full-time students. Even if they're away at college, the only how you cannot claim them is if their permanent address is not yours for over 6 months out the year, and they are not providing over 50% of their own support. And if it doesn't matter what age they are, if they're permanent, totally disabled, and of course they're not working, then you can claim them at any age. And so that's what you need to know when it comes to your dependents and claiming them. And I need to tell y'all this too, because a lot of people don't talk about it. It's also differences between when you're claiming a dependent for head of household purposes, and then you're claiming a dependent for specific tax credits. So when we talk about, like, say, the earned income tax credit, even though you would want to be providing over 50% support for your dependent, mind you, you might get like rental assistance. You might have some other circumstances where somebody else might be contributing to the overall part of the home. You do not have to provide over 50% of the support for the dependent to get EIC for the dependent. You can file single with the dependent, okay? You have to meet other rules and regulations, but for EITC, it's not over 50% of their support. They just can't provide 50% of their over 50% of their own support. When it comes to head of household, though, you have to be providing over 50% of their support. Now, it's a catch to that when it comes to parents. Usually, the dependent has to live with you over 6 months out the year. Your parents are the only people that don't necessarily have to live with you in order for you to claim them as a dependent in reference to head of household purposes. Okay? But you do have to provide over 50% of their support. And they do have to be making under 52 or have 5,200 in income. Okay? So that is what y'all need to know. And a lot of y'all are looking for new tax pros. You definitely need a tax pro in this time that can educate you. A lot of y'all always ask me whether or not I'm taking new clients. I'm always taking new clients. Okay, I don't think I'm not gonna ever be not taking new clients. I don't know, but this year I'm taking new clients. So if you're looking for a new tax pro, most definitely reach out to us at Expert Tax Service. You can go to my website. You can inbox us on here. You can inbox us on my personal page at Gwen Wright. And if you're coming in and you're watching the replay, drop replay in the comments, okay? And if you are a business owner, don't be shy. Drop your website, drop your Facebook page in the comments. And if you want to shout out where you're from, drop in the comments where you're from, okay? And if you think this video is helpful, which I know it's helpful because a lot of people don't be knowing, share the video out. Tag people who are confused about whether they can claim they dependent in the comments, because baby, a lot of people are rushing to file taxes and they might be leaving these children off. Okay, claim these children, okay, because y'all taking care of them. Claim these children. So, but make sure you meet all the tests that is necessary in order to claim them. Okay, Keisha, I think it's Keisha. Good morning. I have a question. Can my daughter file? She's only 17 and working. Can she file me and my son, head of household? I'm the mother and I'm disabled. I don't think that's a good idea. Because if she's working, in order to file head of household, she has to meet the rules, okay? And the rules is she provide over 50% of the household payments, which include rent, utility, food, and health insurance. Even though you're disabled, you possibly getting a Social Security check or some type of check, and you are probably paying the bills, or you're getting rental assistance, or you might be getting food assistance, all those different types of things. Then in that case, your daughter wouldn't be able to file you head of household, and then she's under the age of 18, so I wouldn't recommend it. Because it's not about whether they're working, it's about can they meet the test. So I hope that helped, Miss Simmons. Again, share the video. Tag people that need to hear this. And I'll see y'all next Wednesday. Bye-bye.